Welcome everybody to today's webinar. The topic of today will be the Watson Conversation service. It's basically a Watson community service useful for creating automatic chat box and auto answering services based on machine learning. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Stefano Sbanchi. I'm a cloud architectural advisor of the Bluemix team based in Dublin, and I have around 10 years of experience in software development and project management for web application, desktop application, and service-oriented architecture projects. The programming languages where I have deeper knowledge are Java and C# for .NET, but I like programming and learning on new framework and technology like Node.js, PHP, Ruby, and working on the Bluemix cloud platform gives me the chance to learn and practice on a lot of technology and services, from programming and coding until big data services, Watson connected services, IoT based on MQTT protocol. So it's very exciting. So the agenda of today's webinar will be a quick introduction about the Watson services, Watson Conversation, previously called Watson Dialog services. And then I will go directly with a practical demo showing the Watson Conversation graphic user interface on the web, and explaining what the intents are, what entities and intents are, because this service is based on these two concepts. Then we will have a journey in the source code of the Node.js app demo. I will show to you how it works and how to call the Watson services via REST call and via the Watson API SDK that is available for Node.js. And then we will deliver and push together the app on the Bluemix platform. And at the end, I can take a general overview about the Watson services general catalog available on Bluemix. And if you want, I can open your microphone, and you are free to ask me whichever question you want. During the webinar, you can raise the hand or poll your question in the question panel, but I will leave it for the final Q&A session. So, what could be the uses of the conversation service? You can use it, for instance, in customer services, implementing in your app a chatbot that is able to automatically answer to the question of the customers, or you can integrate it with other mobile services available on the platform. You can call it directly from your client app on the device, Android or iOS. You can integrate with other messaging channels like Twitter or Slack or Facebook, and you can integrate it with a IoT platform, for instance, for calling from your smart device, the service, or you can implement your own robots like Neo. I don't know if someone of you know Neo. It is a project of IBM based on learning machine. I suggest to look on Google about Neo and what he's able to do. And then, so this is a kind of sample of architecture of the app that you can create. So there could be the users. You need the primary interface. It can be Slack, messaging system, or directly your web app hosted on Bluemix. And then you call the application or the backend service could be exposed like in REST on Bluemix. And from there, you can integrate it with other Watson services like the tone analyzer, the speech to text or text to speech, calling obviously the Watson conversation services, and then you can have a backend system for store the data in a database or whichever you want, and then doing analytics, for instance, on the data that you will collect. So let's directly jump on the demo. This is the Bluemix cloud platform interface, and this is a public demo. This is not the one that I've pushed or created on my own. It's a public demo. You can go directly to this URL and taste it on your own. And this is a simple, it's an example of the service, how it's used. It say, hi, hello, nice to drive today. What will you make to do? Let's type something. Say, hello. No, Hale.
I'm not sure about
No.
that.
Yeah, because it's very good.
Hello, I'm doing good. I'm here to help you.
Yeah, it just.
Say the word.
So what we can do? I'm looking for a gas station.
There are few gas stations nearby. Which one would you like to drive to?
Number 4 of the ones that you have showed.
Sure. Navigating to the 4th gas station.
Okay. I want to eat.
Do you have a specific cuisine in mind?
Oh yeah, seafood.
Super. I found some options for you. Which one do you like?
And then let's see the number 5.
Sure thing. Navigating to the 5th restaurant. That place gets great reviews. You'll be there soon.
Okay, as you can see, this service is integrated with other Watson services like geolocalization and then speech to text. But let's focus only on the Watson Dialog service, the ones that is able to answer me. How can it do that? So if we back to the slide, I want to say that it's based on 3 concepts: intent, entities, and dialogue. An intent is the purpose or a goal expresses in a customer's input, such as answering a question or processing, for instance, a bill payment. By recognizing the intent expressed in a customer's input, the conversation service can choose the correct dialogue flow for responding to it. And an entity represents a class of objects or a data type that is relevant to user's purpose. By recognizing the entities that are mentioned in the user's input, the conversation services can choose the specific action to take to fulfill an intent. And the dialog component of the conversation service use the intent and the entities that are identified by the user input to gather required information and provide a useful response. So the dialog is represented graphically in the web graphic user interface as a tree, and you can create branches for process and each intent that you define. And plus, you can train the services based on a kind of machine learning. But let's go in deeper on that. So let's go to the dashboard now. This is my Bluemix dashboard. I will create, as you know, or maybe not, Bluemix is based on 2 levels of hierarchy. One is the organization that corresponds to your account, and the other is the space. You can keep in mind of the organization like a project, team working environment. So you should create as much as organization that you want for each project that you have on your account. or either. But keep in mind that for the trial version, you can have only one organization per account. And then you have the space inside of the organization. The space are pretty much the environment, so developing, testing, and production. And you can have more instances of your app, for one for developing, for the testing purpose, and the production environment. And you can manage with the DevOps services, the delivery pipeline, and just once you host your code on GitHub, you can start the wave of delivery from the development environment to the production, basing on specific policy and rules with unit testing and so on, or just give the final step for going in production environment to your manual agreement. So let's take, for instance, let's create a new space just for having a container. I call it webinar. Now my space is empty, so I can start and create a service. I will create, here you have the whole catalog, but I will create the Watson conversation service, selecting it from the catalog. Can use directly the name that is proposed to me. Once you create the service, you're doing pretty much a kind of linking your account with the services. It will provide to you the credential for connecting to the services. These are the credentials. Pretty much you will have the URL, that is the endpoint that you have to call via REST, and the password and username that correspond to your account that you need to give as inputs to when you connect to the service. And then every time that you submit data, texting, you will get a JSON answer, a JSON string that contain the answer. But how can I set up my environment? There is, as I said, a web user interface. My connection is still not so much quick. It's pretty slow where I'm connected now. No, I'm on Wi-Fi. Okay, it's pretty much slow. This is my service. Okay, let's jump in again. Oh, come on. I saw the link before, but I have already clicked it. So let's wait for a while. In the meanwhile, when we will arrive to a workspace like that. This is the user interface of the IBM Watson conversation. And once you have the workspace, you can create as much as workspace that you want per project, always in the same instance of the service. I don't know why it's not showing the anyway. Then you can create a new workspace, as I said, test. You can select the language. You can select from English, Spanish, French, Italian. Once you have created the workspace, you can enter inside. And you can define intent, entities, and dialog. So for instance, for intent, I can insert greetings. And then I have to match some entities. For instance, refound. Let's, for instance, if I want to implement an automatic chatbot for a customer service that a customer will ask me to claim a refund, or I can enter other things. There is question and so on. And then you have to manage the dialog. And from here, from this user interface, you can match the greetings, for instance, it will be proposed, and I can type the, so every time that I will identify a greetings based on the words, I can say and touch our function saying hello, or some other things. In the greetings, in the intent, I have to define what greetings correspond to. For instance, if the customer can say hi, or hello, big deal. And so this is all the things that can be matched from what the customer will insert as input, and the service will identify as greetings, will answer hello, or we can type wherever alternatives that we want. This is a very simple example. Let's back to the ones, for instance, to the card dashboard. This is the one that I have used in the previous demo, this one. And as you can see, there is a lot of intent, like capabilities, goodbyes, greetings, locate amenity, not specified, and so on. In each of them, there is a huge amount of type of questions that are based pretty much on the wildcard. So you don't need to type it. The service will recognize, will try to match the sentences based on some wildcard word. That are the entities. So amenity will correspond to gas, place, restaurant, restrooms, and so on for matching the entities. And this is the dialog hierarchy workflow. So the conversation starts, and this is the output based on JSON. You don't need necessarily to write now, but this is the example. Turn on. And if you want to taste it, you can do it directly from this interface. For instance, hello. It will. You can check what is matched. If I say hello, will match the greeting intent, and the system will answer with this sentence. And if you type something new, I don't know, let's input one beer. You can train it selecting new matches. For instance, you can match here sometimes new, and they will be updated. The service will be updated based on your suggestion. This is a kind of new training that you will send to the system. So now let's back to the previous. Oh, okay, now I have finally the interface. So this is the service that I've created before. That the other one was another that I have already prepared. So let's launch the new tool. And another thing that I can do is to import based on the JSON structure an already prepared chat box configuration. So let's go deeper in the coding. This is a sample application that I've imported in Node.js, that I've imported in Eclipse with Node Eclipse plugin. And this is the starting point of the application. So you will have the manifest YML. The manifest YML is a specific thing that manages from Cloud Foundry. It's very important in Bluemix because you need it for let the platform understand how to manage the application when you push it on the platform, and it has some information about how to treat it with Cloud Foundry. And you can see it will be exposed on this URL, and this is the name of the app, and it will tell to the system to initialize an instance of the Node.js runtime with this quota of memory, and with this memory of RAM and this quota of disk. So once the Cloud Foundry starts the app, identify the manifest YML, it will use the package JSON for managing the dependencies via npm, and so it will install all these dependencies. I don't know if you are familiar with Node.js, but this is pretty much the same. It's the same if you use the Java runtime. It probably will be used the build XML for Ant, and it will be all the dependencies will be installed via Ant for Java, and it is pretty much the same situation. All the dependencies will be for Node.js will be installed via npm. And as you can see here, there is a module dependencies that's called Watson Developer Cloud, and in the app, this is the app, will be used for calling the service, like here. So the model is initialized in a variable, and then is used like that. So you can. This is the SDK of Watson for Node.js, where you can just point the endpoint, gateway Watson applied platform conversation with the version, and so you have just to do. You don't need to implement on your own the REST HTTP call. You have just to call the SDK, some function of some method of the SDK, like message, where you submit the data, the text data, that is the sentence that you want to retrieve, and you will receive a feedback as feedback, other data, always in a JSON string that you can parse and show on your interface, and for using for the business purpose that you want in your application. So, for instance, I can start directly here the application. What I did is to have set it up before the credential of my app into a file that will be used for sending to the and connected to the service. So I can start the application from the server. I can do it directly on my Eclipse environment. It will say the server is running on port 3000, so I can directly call it on my local host. And this is the demo app that I've started locally. It's not thus implementing all the services that was implemented in the other application, but just, this one, but with the car user interface, with the speech-to-text service, the geolocalization, but just implement just the Watson Dialog service calling, and you have an interface here for understand, which is the what you will submit and what you will have in as answer, and but this is based on the same configuration file of that application. Which configuration file I mean is that one. Is the one that you will find inside, training, the car workspace JSON, because this file implements all the configuration for intent and entities and dialog for the Watson Dialog services for this car service. As you can see here, there is all the tree with branches that are graphically showed in the web user interface. This one corresponds pretty much with all the sentences. It's very big. That's all the services and answer of this one. It's pretty much the same. And what I can do is that I can import directly the workspace, choosing a file from my laptop, and I can import and create the service. And this is pretty much what I did in the other workspace that I've showed here. So if I enter inside here, you will have the same intent and entities. So let's back to the application. We have started the application. So as you can see here, if I go here, I inserted a line of code that will print the data. So this is the first data that I received back from the application, because in my application, that one is the first answer. That is that if I parse the first answer, the text would say, "Hello, it looked like a nice day's drive today. What would you like me to do?" And I can say hello like before, not Ellie. Hello, and say hello, and then always I'm looking for a gas station. Every gas station nearby. Which one would you like to drive to? Here, there's not implemented a geolocalization services, so I don't know, the nearest one. I don't know if we'll answer well. Sure, navigation to the first gas station. Okay, will bring me that. So it's a sample. So this is the service on my laptop. So let's push now the app to Bluemix. How can I do that? It's pretty much simple. You can follow the step if you are familiar, just creating from your dashboard here. I have already the service created. You can create the application. You can follow the wizard here, selecting the runtime that you want to choose from Java, PHP, Swift, and so on. And here, clicking on that, you will create a kind of basic version, or we'll have, I can say, a POC of app, a blank app on the language that you will choose. But I have already my own. So what I just need to do is just to push. For pushing your app to the application, you need the Cloud Foundry command line interface. So, and I can do it just from my console. So what I need to do is just to go in directly in the workspace of my app, where there is the manifest YML. So I'm already in. Yes, I'm inside of the workspace of the Eclipse. Or plus, with Eclipse, there is few plugins for Eclipse that are integrated command directly from the Eclipse IDE interface without using the command line interface, but just for showing it's useful. So I need just to point and position myself to the endpoint of the Bluemix European platform. UGB is the endpoint with the command Bluemix API. And then I need to log in. So I will submit the command. Let's say Bluemix login minus -u, my username, my organization, and -s, that is the webinars, the space. Now I tap the password. So what I can do now is just to type cf push, and Cloud Foundry will scan my my current directory, will identify the manifest YML, and will use it for push the app on Bluemix. So we'll discover that is an app based on Node.js. So we'll install inside the container that is created on top of Bluemix the Node.js runtime. Then we'll check if in my app there is a package .json. Yes, there is. And we'll use it for start the application. First, installing all the dependencies with npm, and at the end, start looking for the start directive that will use node server.js, that is the root of my application. So let's see if it is going on. We'll install all the dependencies. The bit will succeed. In the meanwhile, let's have a journey in the catalog. So this is pretty much the catalog of the services that you can find in Bluemix. There's two ways for working on Bluemix. One is via Cloud Foundry app. That is what I did today. Another way is create your own Docker container, but you have to manage your own a lot of things like which port to open and so on. So it depends. It's a trade-off. If you need more customization, you are going to use Docker container. If you need an already prepared environment, you can use directly a Cloud Foundry runtime. And the runtime available are that one. I'm sorry. That one. As you can see, Java, Node.js, ASP.NET, that is C# based on ASP.NET 5. Swift, that is the Swift server side, extended from the Mac environment for the Linux environment. Xpages is pretty much dominant, kind of deprecated IBM technology hold. Go, PHP, Python, Ruby, and Tomcat is an alternative to the Liberty for Java, always for using Java, but without the enterprise Java being container, because Liberty for Java is based as a light version of WebSphere. And so back into the service, and then once you have decided on the nucleo, the kernel, there should be a container or a Cloud Foundry app. We can attach to that a lot of kind of services, from networking, exposing API, DevOps for continuous integrations, continuous delivery, and Watson. Today we are focusing on Watson. So which Watson cognitive services are available on the platform? There's Alchemy API that is very useful for doing visual recognition and semantic syntax recognition. The conversation is the one that we have a journey today. The document conversation is very useful for convert more or less a lot of type of document from HTML to PDF and so on. Language translation is very useful, but it's kind of deprecated actually, for translate and for optimize the in your website the translation in more than one language. This will be replaced from this one. The language translator is pretty much similar with more feature. The natural language classifier is it perform a classification of the text that you will submit based on natural language. So we'll give you a feedback, say bad or good or something more. Personal Insight is a way for doing a kind of, this is very useful for HR services, submitting the topic of a person to kind of analyze the social environment of the people and giving a feedback on that. Retrieving rank is always a machine learning services based on retrieving rank that will give a rank based on what you will submit. Speech to text is the other services that I've showed in the previous demo. This one, it's the one that translates the text into voice, speech, and then the reverse, text to speech. Sorry, this one was the one that was used in the application. This was the reverse. The tonalizer will give you, it's similar to the natural language classifier, but with less feature. It's kind of, you submit the topic, the text, and it will give a feedback based on the humor of the text. And so on. Trade-off analytics and visual recognition is pretty much an extension of what Alchemy API, because Alchemy API is based on two kind of services. One is for visual recognition, that is for semantic analytics. All the services that you can use, you have just to pretty much create an instance of your Bluemix account, either it is a trial, and then you have to use the, as I show, username and password or an API key that are the credentials created for you that correspond to your account. And then you can directly call your API call of the Watson services, doing a REST HTTP call from whichever programming language you want, or from for few programming language, there is an SDK like the one that I've showed to you for Node.js. So just using the specific library, you can call directly the SDK, or either you can do directly the call via REST HTTP call. So let's see if our application is up and running. So it says that it's running, so it has downloaded remotely on Bluemix all the dependencies. So where was my dashboard? I don't know. So let's click again. I lost the dashboard. So that is my dashboard, the service of conversation that I created before, and here is the app that I pushed. That's the link, and I received pretty much the same interface that I was starting locally. As you can see, this is the ones on localhost, this is the ones hosted on Bluemix. You can go to this URL, for instance, and use it. It will be, you will be in my with concurrences managed for more than one user, and so I can always say hello, or maybe goodbye webinar. So let me know what your question. I will close the webinar. Probably he will not recognize my. Understand? You want me to turn off something? Okay. I want to turn off the webinar. The web. Probably he don't understand webinar, so I have to do it manually, or I should train it in the workspace here, typing turn off the webinar, and they will understand the. But actually, I'm not connected to these services. I'm connected to the other one, so I should train anyway. How we can do that? So let's back to our slide. Did you have any questions? You can type it in the question panel or raise the hand. And if you raise the hand, then you are not shy. I can open to you the microphone. In the meanwhile, I will leave here my contacts if you want to contact me. Someone of you has asked me if the webinar will be recorded. Yes, it will be recorded, and I will post on YouTube. So I will answer now at all your questions. Before I want to say goodbye, let's say the next